Hello guys and gals and welcome. So I wanted to sum up all the points from the developers sort of round table with Mr. Llama and lo and behold T-Bling, someone who I've worked with before, has summed them up for me. If you have never taken a look at Diablo2.io, I have done a video on Diablo2.io before, and worked directly with T-Bling on kind of making a review of the website. And this is, of course, another one of the many things that he offers on Diablo2.io. So if I can say Diablo2.io a couple more times, I will. So make sure you go check that out. So here we have a sort of a summing up of what went on during the thing. We have new Runewords will occasionally be added through the lifetime of the game across several ladder seasons. They'll basically be something for each new ladder season. This will keep the meta fresh and keep the gameplay varied and competitive each season. We have on PTR, the public test realm. There may be an NPC that can give you an item plus a template, level 99 characters available for testers, plus resets, etc. Basically, a full testing suite could be possible for us to trial builds and actually play them on public test realm. Freaking awesome. This would be very useful for updating database item data here on the site, and of course for trying all the new changes out. Emphasis from devs was on PTR, public test realm, feedback cycle for testing and iterating on these 2.4 changes. Development timeline we can expect as is: bugs, fixes, stability to prepare for ladder, PTR, 2.4 PTR, first ladder launches with 2.4 changes. Balance changes. Emphasis has been on scaling into the late game. They recognize the skills that are strong early on and what needs buffing later on in Hell. Also a lot of emphasis on being able to make things viable as a fantasy, not necessarily optimal. So that people have a wider range of playstyles. I'd watch the vid itself if you want the nitty-gritty for each class. They covered all of the key points made in yesterday's blue post, but expanded a lot on each class, and even down to individual abilities with figures and all. Changes to skill tooltips to make them much more informative. More values are going to be displayed, like shout duration for Barbarian. The fade proc, the physical damage reduction is going to be added to the tooltip. The increase to maximum resistances on Paladin skills, etc. All 6 Act 2 aura types will be hireable within Nightmare or Hell difficulty. Buffs to all other Act Mercs, increased damage and new spells. Act 5s will get Battle Cry. Some new Runewords seem like they're there to complement the changes to skills balancing Merc changes. Emphasis on using underused Runewords. Plague and Pattern will be among the new Runewords added for the latter update. Now, they specifically said that Plague and Pattern would not be the exact same Runewords that they were in the original, but I would like to show you, not my cat, although he is very cute. He's a very cute kitty. That's a very cute kitty. His name is Fry Daddy. We have Plague, and then we also have Pattern. These were 2 Runewords that were added into the game, but never actually saw use in the game. It was rather weird. Despite the fact that they actually do exist within the game files, they never actually were added, and they basically said that they were going to be adding them into the game finally, and they were also going to be modifying them a little bit to make them better. So we shall see what they come up with, and I'm going to leave those up on the screen for just a little while so that you guys can get a good look at them. They are increasing the area level of monsters in some areas of the game so that people can farm in other areas and provide more diversity. This will provide some nice changes to scenery instead of ancient tunnels and the pit. Durance of Hate will require you to smash the Compelling Orb, meaning that you will now have to complete all Act 3 quests for you to access the Durance of Hate. So no more skipping Act 3. They don't want people to skip over what they consider a big story moment in Act 3. And we have a list of skill changes here, which is fairly long. So this is gonna take a little while. I hope you guys are ready. So Amazon, increase on inner sight radius. Improving slow missiles, improving the lockout of dodge, avoid, and evade. Impale slows on every hit and doesn't rely on attack rating. Fend is faster with the animation. Valkyrie casting delay has been reduced. adjusting scaling, damage, and mana cost of bow and arrow skills. Assassin, martial arts only consumes 1 charge at a time versus 3. Updating some tooltips and duration consistency for shadow disciplines. Lightning and fire traps are getting improvements in damage / synergies. Blade skills are getting a tuning pass. Barbarian, Warcry improved at higher levels. Improving Find Potion to incentivize more skill points. Improving Leap and Leap Attack so it could be better. They also made it faster. That's what they were talking about, because it takes a very long time to leap. We've got Berserk synergies are changing. Pierce, chance to throw abilities. So we have a Pierce chance added to throwing skills, which is nice. Throwing barbarians definitely need Pierce. Frenzy synergy with increased stamina. So instead of Frenzy having some of the more silly synergies, apparently they're going to be adding increased stamina as a synergy, which is a little odd, but I guess they're kind of trying to incentivize the use of increased stamina. Whirlwind isn't getting any changes because it doesn't really need any. Druid, fire skills getting better physical scaling. Arctic Blast has better scaling, synergies, and targeting. Shapeshifting can cast elemental buffs. Werewolf getting better attack rating scaling. Fireclaws getting synergy updates, which is something that it really needed because the synergies are awful. We also have Werebear getting damage scaling, which is nice because Werebear was always a little lackluster. We've got summons don't have hidden randomized health values anymore. If you guys are unaware of this, the wolves and things like that had hidden health that would be random depending on when you summon them. So sometimes you would summon a really weak one, and sometimes you would summon one that was actually kind of nice. We also have Ravens getting changes. Ravens definitely could use an update, maybe some synergies. Wolves getting more damage, identity damage dealers. Spirit summons getting physical resistance. Spirit wolves getting cold damage on their melee. So the spirits like Spirit of Barbs and stuff like that are getting more physical resistance that scales with difficulty, which makes them harder to kill. And the wolves getting cold damage on melee is actually really cool because that offers you another way to kill physical immune monsters. We also have Spirit Barb getting better thorns. So they talked about both beefing up thorns and also maybe converting it to a flat rate damage as opposed to a percentage. So we'll see what route they go with thorns on that. Necromancer, Skeletal Mages getting big damage scaling. So we've got the Skeletal Mages actually pretty suck. So they really do need that damage scaling. Blood Golem and Fire Golem getting damage scaling. I also hope they reduce the mana cost on Fire Golem because he costs way too much mana maxed out. He's like 400 or 500 mana to cast, which is redonkulous. Iron Golem is getting improved thorns as well because all the thorns are getting improved. We've got Bone Skills getting scaling improvements. Bone Armor damage absorb scaling improved. A lot of there was no reason to actually put points into Bone Armor because Bone Wall and Bone Prison actually enhanced Bone Armor better than Bone Armor enhanced itself, which was silly. Weaken will still get more damage scaling at higher skill points. So this is actually a good one because I know for a fact that Weaken was just the lesser Decrepify. So it's nice to see that they are beefing it up a little bit and making it into something that might be a little bit more useful. No improvements to summoning at the start of the game. Paladin, Holy Bolt will now pierce and have better synergy. So they're going to make it so that Holy Bolt doesn't dissipate when it hits a target. It's going to go through, out the other side, and it's going to have a lot of damage, which is very nice. It still will only affect undead, but the very interesting thing about this, though, is that if you're trying to use it as a heal and a monster is in the way of you and what you're trying to heal, it will pierce through that monster and still hit your ally, your character that is your friend. So along with it improving the Holy Bolt, they also made Holy Bolt pierce on Fist of the Heavens. They're going to take Fist of the Heavens and make it have less casting delays and improved controls. So very good for Fist of the Heavens because it's certainly a lackluster PvM skill, although it's fairly good at PvP. Better scaling for offensive auras, damage based on range to caster. This is a really kind of a big one. And I was thinking about this one, and I'm like, the dream, the Holy Shock Sorceress or Holy Shock Paladin, the Dragon Den, they're actually not that bad. They're actually pretty good. And they're talking about beefing up these same skills that are already not bad. And I guess they're going to do more damage the closer you are, which is interesting. So I'm really kind of interested to see what they're doing with these. Holy Freeze definitely needs some love. I don't know about Holy Shock. Holy Fire definitely needs a little bit of love because it's not quite as good as the other two. I'm really interested to see what they do with these to make them beef up their damage based on the range. We've got no plans to change conversion. They actually asked that question, and they were like, no, nothing that we can think of. Paladin is in a pretty good place, they said. Sorceress, Cold Armor, Diversified. So they're going to diversify the 3 armors to try and make them more of a choice, as opposed to kind of like the non-choice that they are now. Frost Nova is going to be improved pretty vastly. They talked about that at length, and they pretty much said that Frost Nova is going to get a lot of buffs, especially because they compared it to Lightning Nova, and it just really was lackluster by comparison. Fire and Lightning skills improved with better synergies. That's actually really nice. They're probably talking specifically about things like Inferno, Hydra, Thunderstorm, Charged Bolt. So yeah, Inferno improved, Blaze improved, Hydra improved. They specifically talked about taking the delay off of Hydra and making a max cast amount for Hydra. So like instead of having a huge delay, they're going to make it so you can cast 6 Hydras really fast, but you can't have any more than 6, which I think is a really good change to the skill all around. Nova improved scaling, Thunderstorm synergy, static field synergy. So very interesting. So Nova is going to have 2 new synergies. Thunderstorm changes in the works, not teasable currently. Then we have mercenary changes, so improvements to all Act 2 mercenaries, non-Act 2 mercenaries. New Runewords made with non-Act 2 mercenaries in mind. Act 2 not nerfed, in fact, Act 2 slightly buffed. Act 1 ranged skills with AoE damage effectiveness. So AoE damage effectiveness makes me think multi-shot or strafe. Or perhaps they're going to give them exploding arrow or freezing arrow. So there are a lot of different possibilities for range skills with AoE effectiveness, so keep that in mind. We've got Act 2 auras not difficulty restricted, Act 2 thorns improvements, Act 3 buffed elemental fantasy, Act 5 gets battle cry improved HP and defense. And then we had a question and answer segment where they asked questions and they talked about various things. So we got Diablo clone. We know it's like the secret society / lots of hoops to jump through. Just to even see a declone and recognize it's a hard experience as it is right now, they want to make it easier to see declone for everyone. I guess they're also aware of the issues around multiple clients to one IP issue, etc. But they did not mention it. More character slots, not currently in plans. It's difficult to do database-wise. It's 20 now and will be investigated further. Patch for 2.4 before ladder. Game hasn't changed since 1.13c over a decade ago. They want to get it right in this stage before PTR. Then public test realm, then 2.4 public test realm, then ladder launch. That is the current timeline. So we're going to see public test realm first, then we're going to see 2.4 public test realm, and then we're going to see ladder. So we're definitely good. We definitely have a timeline here. We also have not at this time, but that would be cool. So no new bosses or endgame content. So we're looking at no what we got, Lilith, no extra Lilith bosses, or maybe we're gonna fight Tyrael himself. Nothing like that at this particular moment planned. Heavy armor's two-handed weapons staff buff. It's going to come down to feedback. We know they don't provide the same benefits as one-handed, but more can be done in the future. If there are specifics, that would be cool to know. Blizzard wants specifics. More stash tabs. Stash tabs are different to inventory space. We'll always have these discussions every patch, but no, not today. You'll get 3 temporary withdrawal-only stash tabs at the end of ladder. Lasts until next ladder starts, so you have the time to withdraw the items you want to keep forever. They like the idea of unlocking a new stash tab every season, or at least have thought about it. They did discuss having a currency stash tab for holding gems, runes, keys, etc., but unclear on the likelihood of implementation. Ignore list that can be shareable, so we can share a bot ignore list. It's funny because I laughed at this one because the bots have been such a huge issue in chat that they just spam constantly and never-endingly. And they said that was a thing back in the day with Legacy D2. We are putting in the effort into spam bots and spam in general, not specifically bots. Not a list that can be shared, but no, we're working on it greatly. Will changes affect Classic? Some of them, yes. All sorceresses in D2R, including Classic pre-LOD, Resurrected sorceresses, and of course, any changes they make to expansion stuff is not going to make its way back to Classic. New unique items or edits to them. No, not happening. So no new uniques planned. Changes to crafting. Nothing planned right now, but it is a possibility. There will be new Heroic Cube recipes in the game, though. We're allowing you to update the base item of set items. So we're going to have a Heroic Cube recipe specifically for upgrading set items. So that's going to be interesting. Stacking of runes or gems. No, we probably won't ever allow that. They also said that they would never allow your personal inventory to stack them, but they'd consider adding a separate stash tab with stackable runes/gems, whatever. And that would be discussed together with adding stash tabs in general. One or the other, probably not both. So basically what they're saying here is that if they do allow gems and runes to stack, we're probably not getting any more stash tabs. And if they do give us more stash tabs, we're probably not going to get stackable runes and gems. And it seems like a trade-off. So, interesting. Loot filters. Talked about for a long time. Thing is, if we do loot filters, like don't show me anything below this level, seen at high level and play. There's times you want to see low end stuff. Rarity filters are the best solution they think so far, but it's a big undertaking at the moment though, and not coming soon. PvP balance. There's going to be differences in the PvP scene because of the changes we're making. It's going to come down to public test realm testing. Bugs you really looking at fixing at the moment, gameplay in particular. We've had frequent patches to tackle some of the big things like traps following you around and stuff. The patch cadence will start to slow down as we start to tackle some of the smaller things that have come up, and we can now focus on the bigger changes, so more spaced out patches, but more significant features and changes. Load screens. Loading is being worked on all the time, they say, gold standard if no player ever saw any load screen. But we are accounting for many pieces of hardware. There are a lot of variables that come into play. Hope you can continue to see less of it in the future, they say. Follow-up question. Can't move, can't die in load screen issue. How about that? Blizzard, remember it from Alpha, one of the devs killed Duriel in a loading screen. We want to avoid any gameplay during loading screens, so something we're trying to avoid at all costs. It's a tricky problem to fix, though, because it's live. We can't pause the game ever to work on things, etc. Players 8 for Battle.net, so being able to toggle on Players 8 while you're in Battle.net. No, and we're not planning on that. We don't want to add more incentives to not play with other people. It's a multiplayer game. And I've said this quite a few times for those of you who have made the comment. There's no way that they're going to add Players 8 to Battle.net because it would, as he's saying, ruin any incentive to play with other people, and they don't want to ruin incentive to play with other people. Granted, there are some people who specifically avoid playing with other people who would like to be able to use Players 8 on Battle.net. But they're not going to give you Players 8 because that would give everyone Players 8 on Battle.net, and that would completely ruin any reason to play with other people at all. Which, if you don't know what those reasons are, it's higher drop chance, it's more experience points, and it's a greater difficulty. Console updates. We don't have any updates for you right now, but we hear you, and when we have something to share, we will. Now, he said a lot more than this during the video. I was there. He talked about how it's like the #1 comment that he gets like all the time, and he is really excited to give some information to us, but he doesn't have any information right at this particular moment. And that's pretty much the Cliff Notes version of the update. Again, I will shout out Diablo2.io. This is a very awesome website if you haven't checked this out. If you would like to see the full version, I do have that up on my channel. It was about 2 hours, sans the beginning and the end. I want to say it was about 2 hours, and it wasn't too bad. It was definitely worth a watch, and listening to them talk is going to give you a better perspective. And I also give my thoughts on everything as well, if you'd like to hear that. That video is already up, and this one is only just uploading. So. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and in the future there's going to be a lot of new content, so make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the little bell, because quite honestly there are going to be a huge number of videos coming in the future with the public test realm, all the changes that they have proposed, and one of the things that's not written here that I do believe needs to be said is they pretty much said that the updates aren't going to stop, that they're going to start slowly. They even use the boil the frog slowly comment, which if you guys have never heard that, it's the difference between turning up the heat really fast and the frog jumps out of the pot because it's too hot, or turning up the heat very slowly and the frog, feels comfortable, and then eventually it's too hot for the frog, but by then it's too late. He's already sweated it out, so to speak. It's a whole silly comment that's been around the internet for a long time. So we will see more changes in the future, but they're taking a cautious approach to it, and I like that. We're going to see the public test realm. We're going to be able to take a look at these changes. We're going to be able to test them, and we're going to be able to give our feedback, which I feel like is very important to this entire process. So as always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.